All right. Hello, everyone. So thank you so much for joining today's workshop. NUS Fintech Month is an annual flagship event organized by NUS Fintech Society to prepare the next generation of business leaders, entrepreneurs, developers, and other professionals to develop and apply new financial technologies and business practices, both now and well into the future. So with that, we've actually prepared a series of workshops, panel discussions, and a hackathon. So today's workshop is one of the events as part of our NUS Fintech Month. So today, we are very, very honored to have with us as the Vice President, Commercial APAC, and Elton as the Blockchain Solutions Architect APAC from Settlement. Both of them graduated from NUS with a strong passion for blockchain technology. Today, they'll be sharing more on the topic, why enterprise blockchain implementations fail. So without further ado, I will pass over the time over to Elton and Johnny. Take it from here.
All right. Thanks, NUS Fintech Society. So first of all, Happy New Year. Good evening, and thanks for having us. So my name is Johnny. I'm the Commercial VP for Settlement here in APAC. Just a small correction. I actually did not graduate from NUS. Elton did. So today, together with me, Elton is going to be presenting or sharing some thoughts on the topic today, right? And there's going to be two parts to our presentation. So the first part is me going to be sharing about the current state of adoption of blockchain in industry, specifically more on enterprises, and sharing what are the common challenges that enterprises face when implementing their blockchain initiatives. And the second part will actually be Elton, who is going to be demonstrating the settlement platform by taking you through a use case that we have developed for one of the enterprises that's working with us and is currently also live and powered by the settlement blockchain platform. So I do understand that we also have cut short our time. So I'll try to be brief in part one, and then Elton will focus more on the platform demonstration, right? So some good news first, right? So recently, Casper Labs, they're a blockchain service provider as well. They did a survey, and the survey result was that 90% of enterprises are currently going to be adopting blockchain technology. So it's very, very encouraging for everyone in that space, in the industry, especially for, I guess, for students such as yourself as well, joining the NUS Fintech Society and the Blockchain Society, because you probably are very interested in joining a job related to blockchain in the future. So I think a lot of companies have identified that blockchain is definitely going to be positively impacting their business. So everyone is now looking to properly adopt blockchain and connect it with their existing operations. That being said, so the survey results also mentioned that there are certain hurdles that are impeding actual adoption to the 100%. So some of them listed here are limited developer knowledge, lack of tools, and interoperability challenges, which we will touch upon later. And another survey by Gartner, so this was back in 2021, it's still quite recent. They interviewed about 400 plus enterprises, and they found out all these enterprises that are researching blockchain technology, only 14% of them actually go into production, meaning 86% of them actually fail, right? So what does this mean? So when you start a blockchain initiative in a company, right? So the first, it could be 9 to 15 months, you're actually gathering all the stakeholders, discussing which blockchain use case or implementation would make sense for the business. So that usually takes about 9 to 15 months until the POC. But when everything is said and done for the POC, right, they struggle to actually go to production, meaning actually going live, meaning actually implementing the blockchain use case into the company's existing systems, right? Things like, so a lot of companies use ERP systems like SAP. It could be even a CRM like Salesforce. Sometimes all these enterprise blockchain use cases need to be integrated with their existing systems. And that's not an easy thing to do. And that is why only 14% of all the blockchain initiatives in enterprise setting actually move into production, right? So now comes the question, right? What actually is the reason for all this failure, right? So the first one is quite obvious when you think about it, because blockchain is a relatively new technology, right? So it's obvious that there's not a lot of people that are skilled or competent in blockchain technology now. So in the world right now, I guess almost 100% of web developers predominantly come from a Web2 background, right? Blockchain is natively like Web3, and not a lot of people are still familiar with Web3. So that's going to be number one. And number two, there are four repeatable, I would say, common key challenges that we notice amongst enterprises. So let's first take a look at skills scarcity. Like I mentioned, right, it's a new technology and not a lot of people that are competent with the Web3 or blockchain technologies. So when you have a use case in mind, how do you want to build it, right? The first way you could do it is you could probably recruit, hire in-house, but that would probably take you a very long time. You need to go through job posting, job advertisement, interviews, and then go through multiple different candidates to see team culture fit. And when you actually get them in and train them, when they've developed a competency in Web3, most of the time, because it's such a hot industry and they're so in demand, people are willing to pay top dollar. Within 18 to 20 months, 24 months, they might leave the company or go and found their own company itself. So that's all your time and money, effort spent on hiring people gone down the drain. Right. The second one, if you don't want to risk that, you can hire externally. So what this means, you either hire a software house to develop for you, or you can leverage expertise from, for example, consultants. Like you hear all these big names like an Accenture or McKinsey, BCG. Some of them, although they're consultants, they have a software development arm that can deliver for you. But what this does is this locks you into the vendor lock you into dependency on an external source, right? So meaning if they decide to do whatever, or they don't want to do it for you, and if something changes, you need to pay them, right? Or if suddenly they go out of business, then there goes your support as well. So this creates a dependency. We don't want that. Most big enterprises usually also would like to build by themselves, right? The other way that you could address this is by joining a consortium, right? You have an existing consortium, you join the solution. But what this means is that, for example, if you join a blockchain trade finance consortium, you're just limited to that particular solution or application, right? You can't, if you have other ideas that you want to explore, it's very tough to change it or introduce that because it's a consortium. Everybody joins the group for the same thing, right? Last but not least, you can in-source a solution, right? You can buy off the shelf an existing solution. For example, if you're a company, you want to experiment with blockchain applications for trade finance or NFTs, or even digital asset tokenization, securitization. You can buy all these different solutions and bring them in-house. But what that happens is what we like to call spaghetti in the back end, meaning you have a lot of different solutions, different verticals for different solutions, but having to bring them all together and make them interoperable with your existing legacy systems is going to be a pain, right? Which is why skill scarcity is one thing. You can use all these different methods to address it, but still it leaves you with a lot of issues, right? The next one, which we are talking about, like 4 different common key challenges, right? So when you already have people who want to develop for you, the first thing that an enterprise faces is even getting the solution deployed, right? Setting up the blockchain infrastructure. We have seen, like I mentioned just now, it might take 9 to 15 months to finish a POC, but actually about 60% of the time, you're just figuring out how to actually deploy the blockchain network, right? A lot of blockchain developers are also so-called blockchain developers, but they're still very new. When it comes to actual enterprise implementation, it's a whole different ballgame. You are not just minting an NFT. You are not just deploying a smart contract on a mainnet, right? But you are actually having to come into a very secure private enterprise network and you have to set things up from scratch. Not a lot of people can do this, and which is why you need to sometimes hire external system integrators to help you do this. But even then, a lot of issues can arise because you need to first be familiarized with the enterprise's internal systems. So issue number one is a very fundamental but important one. Just getting the infrastructure deployed is going to be a huge challenge. Issue number two, this usually can take 3 to 4 months. Issue number two is now once you have deployed your network, right, you need to build your blockchain use case onto the deployed blockchain network. And this as well, it takes a lot of time. Not a lot of people are well versed in developing the smart contract to be aligned with the use case. You need to take care of security, data privacy, a lot of whose wallet stays where, and there are a lot of different issues that can come up when you're actually building the use case itself. So it's not just designing a smart contract and deploying it on chain. There are a lot of other things that are intertwined with the logic of the smart contract itself. So issue number three, right? This is the main sticking point where enterprises can't go from POC to production, is that, you know, usually when it comes to a POC, it's a smart contract and a simple front end. But when you want to go into actual live production environments, so think, for example, if you're a bank or a very enterprise company, right? Your smart contract or your POC needs to work with all the other existing systems. So for example, I'm taking banking, for example, right? You need to ensure that your blockchain POC, let's say if it's a bond tokenization platform, right? It needs to work with the core banking system. It needs to work with your DevOps systems, security-wise, data privacy, right? High availability, right? All of these different things you need to take care of when you're actually implementing this into a production environment, and which is why it's super difficult. It can take 4 to 18 months, and within that time, you know, a lot of things can happen. Management can change, people may leave the company, and everything goes down the drain, right? So the key is you need to do blockchain implementations fast, but you need to also address all of these different implementation challenges at the same time. The fourth issue is that once you have done, let's say, a POC in a closed environment, right? Because blockchain, the core or the best benefit of blockchain is that you get a lot of security, transparency if everybody comes together on the same ecosystem, right? Issue number 4 is actually scaling your network. So if you have deployed let's say a private network, right, you need to have other people join your network to really realize the full benefit of a blockchain ecosystem. So sometimes if a bank, if you see the news nowadays, there are a lot of people trying to come up with their own group, right? Each bank will form a consortium doing a POC, but after that, after the POC is completed, you actually need to have all these different banks coming together, joining in order to make the POC successful. But this in itself is a very tough thing. So how do we address skill scarcity and all of these 4 issues, right? If you don't address them, what you're going to get is just you're going to be stuck in an experimentation life cycle, and you're just going to lose money because you're not getting a good return on investment, or you're not generating revenue off of your blockchain implementation, right? So how do we address this? Right, this is why Settlement was created, right? The whole idea behind Settlement is to make blockchain implementations easy. So you've probably heard of WordPress, right? WordPress is a platform for you to build any type of website. So Settlement is the same, right? We're a full stack Web3 development platform for you to build any type of blockchain application, right? So we're blockchain protocol agnostic, we're industry agnostic, we're also cloud agnostic, right? So we have clients in banking and supply chain, manufacturing, a lot of different verticals as well. So again, our value proposition is that if you have a blockchain idea, right, within 4 to 8 weeks, right, we can go from ideation phase to an actual POC and even production deployment. Right. So yeah, Settlement makes blockchain easy, fast, customizable, and all that good stuff. But this is what I would like to share with you, right? So we have been working with quite a lot of big enterprises. As mentioned, Settlement is more of a enterprise-focused Web3 development platform. We have seen quite a lot of interest from financial institutions in the region. So in the region, we are working with names such as Standard Chartered Bank, OCBC Bank. We have worked with IMDA for financial stuff. For NFTs, we have worked with Coca-Cola. We have worked with the Dubai Royal Transportation Authority, and for manufacturing, some of the big names like Carrefour and AB InBev as well. And when I mention full stack, right? When I mentioned that Settlement is a full stack Web3 development platform, we literally take care of the full stack of Web3 development. So if you look at this slide right now, you usually start a blockchain use case development by first determining which protocol you would like to build on, right? So say, for example, you wanted to do a NFT related use case. So we select Polygon on your protocols right here. And then after that, you need a node, right? Each blockchain network, you would require a node to develop a network or a blockchain ecosystem, right? So you need to choose the infrastructure where you're going to be deploying it. And then you need to choose the developer tools to develop your smart contract, app enablement for depending on the use case. And then we have developed a new layer here as well, which is called the Settlement Integration Studio. So if you look closely at this slide, right in the middle for developer tools, Settlement is actually mentioned over here. So this is a survey or report done by Coinbase, right, where they list out all the must-have Web3 development tools. So Settlement is under low code, no code, but we're probably cutting across the full stack because our tool can also provide you integrations with all these other components that you would need to in order to build a actual full functioning Web3 application, right? Just a quick time check. Okay, so I think we can finish, we can continue here. So how does your blockchain journey start with Settlement? As mentioned, right, you usually start by choosing your blockchain protocol and then deploying your blockchain node on a cloud provider of your choice. So based on our experience when we work with enterprises, most of them will, they can start with cloud, but most of them would rather prefer a self-hosted option, which is what we call on-premise, which is deployment of a blockchain network in an air-gapped environment. And then the next one is, of course, once you have set up or deployed your blockchain network, you need to develop the smart contract logic, right? It could be an NFT, it could be a digital asset, an ERC 20 token, 721, or what have you, right? Settlement provides you all these smart contracts for the use cases out of the box. So a fully functioning use case template, let's say it's 70 to 80% complete. You just need a little bit of customization, changing of names, changing of the number of stakeholders to make it work, right? Now, then comes the integration part, which is, again, the most difficult part when getting an enterprise use case into production. So once you have your smart contract, your dApp finished, you need to ensure that it's interoperable with the enterprise's existing systems, right? For example, it could be an Oracle, it could be an SAP, even a Salesforce here. So we give you a very visual integration tool, as you can see here, which you can then collaborate with business analysts and your software guys to actually properly implement it. Next is growing your network, right? You can easily invite new organizations or members to join your network. And then last but not least, in an enterprise setting, whenever, if a project is live, you need a lot of monitoring tools to immediately capture if something goes wrong, right? Because if a system is down in production, imagine if you're doing a bond tokenization platform, if something is down, you immediately need to be able to pinpoint where the issue is and troubleshoot it. And this is where Settlement comes in and gives you a dashboard that allows you to monitor, error log a lot of different points for you to maintain the health of your blockchain network and your application as well, right? So I'm just going to show you some of the blockchain use cases that have been developed with the Settlement platform, right? All of these implementations were they went from ideation to POC and to production within a span of, let's say, 3 to 4 months. So the first one that we shared just now, and we talked about just now, they were actually, if you think about it, it's a bond tokenization platform. This one we did with Standard Chartered Bank and OCBC. This particular one is deployed in a private permission blockchain network. So as you can see, it's deployed on premise, right? I wouldn't really go into the details of each use case. Just wanted to show you guys that these are some of the use cases that have been built with the settlement platform, right? We have also done in Europe with KBC Securities. This is similar. We created a security tokenization engine for KBC Bank, where we raise funds via crowdfunding, right? But natively on blockchain. This is also another POC, which is similar to CBDC by the Islamic Development Bank. We have also done NFTs for names such as Coca-Cola, the New York Mets. Basically, our platform was used to mint and deploy NFTs. The same one for Royal Transport Authority, Roads and Transport Authority in Dubai here. So this is also a similar NFT use case, but with a twist. NFTs were minted for each particular number plate here. So I won't go too much here. I think with that being said, I will hand it over to Elton, right? And then Elton will actually take you through the use case that has been developed using the settlement platform. So thank you guys. So this is part 1 over. Part 2, Elton will be the one handling it. So over to you, Elton.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks, Johnny. Okay, time check is already 8 p.m. Thank you everyone for your participation and things until so late, so I don't take too much of your time. Okay, so Johnny has already briefly mentioned about the four main issues that enterprises actually face, and it lies firstly with the infrastructure. The second is the use case, and the third is the integration with existing systems. The fourth is basically scaling to ecosystem of stakeholders. So Settlement actually solved all this issue. Okay, let me give a brief introduction of myself. So hello everyone, my name is Elton Tay. I am a solutions architect at Settlement. I just recently unofficially graduated from NUS with a major in business analytics. So about 2 months ago, my last exam in November. So maybe I'll graduate with some of you this year. Okay, so what I do is actually I just help to architect solutions for clients who are interested in using blockchain technology to implement solutions. So what am I going to do today, right? I'm going to take over with Johnny, and I'm going to give a brief demo on RTA, which is basically the Road Transport Authority. Let me just widen the screen a bit. RTA, then I'll move on to showing a demo on Settlement, Settlement's platform. So what is RTA? So RTA is basically one of our clients in Dubai, and they came to us for 2 use cases. The first is minting NFTs for license plates. The second is basically for public transport NOL card. So in Dubai, fun fact, license plate is a huge thing. Back in 2016, there's this Indian businessman who bought a car plate license called D5 for $9 million US. You can fact check. The last September, they also sold about 90 plates, totaling up to $10 million. So it's a huge thing in Dubai. So what they wanted to do is to inject utilities into the car plates. And how? They minted the NFT. And by doing so, it can also help to facilitate the transfer of ownership in the online auction market or even in the secondary market. So they just basically tie this NFT to the license plate, and then that's how you do. So the NOL card is the second use case. Is basically help to incentivize commuters, to use public transport by rewarding them a system in a loyalty program. So for this demo that I'm going to showcase is basically just the license plate itself. So how does it work? So in this demo, there are 2 main stakeholders, the RTA admin and the RTA customer. So it starts off by first taking a photo of the license plate and then uploading the picture onto the website, minting it to an NFT, and then transferring it to the customer wallet. And then the customer can just view it in the MetaMask wallet using social logins. So all this is actually powered by Settlement under the hood, right? Which I'll showcase in a bit. So what is needed to build a dApp? Okay, I'm not sure if any one of you have built a dApp before. Okay, to give some context, about 2 years ago, I kind of started my journey in Web3, and I find it really hard to grasp a lot of concepts about all the different moving pieces from front end to back end to smart contracts, wallet, keys, stuff like that. Okay, so let me share with you like the main components of building a dApp. Okay, you need a protocol, like what Johnny mentioned. The infrastructure consists of the protocol and a node. In this case, we are building it on Polygon mainnet. The smart contracts, some of you may be familiar with 721, which is like the gold standard for NFTs. There's ERC20, which is like tokens. So ERC 1155 is basically a mix between 721 and 20. Hasura, a technology that maybe most of you might not know. If a lot of you know, then good for you. So Hasura, the gist is basically a unified GraphQL server. So what's GraphQL? So it's a unified GraphQL server that basically tracks and queries transactions on-chain and off-chain. So what's on-chain? On-chain is basically transactions that happen on the blockchain. Off-chain is whatever things you do in a centralized database like Postgres. So the fourth thing that you need in this dApp is basically private key, which is used to sign transactions in a dApp and to communicate with the smart contracts. And IPFS is basically a decentralized storage for you to pin images, in this case, the car plate licenses, onto IPFS. And the bonus thing that I'm sure most of you have not heard of is the Integration Studio, which is powered by Node-RED. And Node-RED is powered by Node.js. Basically, it's a backend server that helps with this business logic, very simple dragging and dropping business logic to build a fully functional automation, just like a backend server. So you can just focus on the front end code, just build this backend server and all your logic to run the dApp. So to incentivize all of you, at the end of this presentation, I'll give you a QR code which has an access to the demo that I am about to show. Basically a duplicated demo. Okay, 1 second. So here is the demo that I'm going to showcase right now. So this is the RTA, NFT management demo. You can see this is a collection. I minted one yesterday. So this is the different number plates and how you do it. If you guys aren't familiar with NFT minting, first you drop whatever image you want to drop. Let's say I want to drop a, oh man, let me go to demo. I want to drop this gray or this yellow car. I call it yellow car. Number plate is 5.5%. I want all of you to get 5 GPA. So I just click create. And basically what it does is send a transaction to the blockchain and you are greeted with this for you to sign. And this is done by the private key that you have, right? You just need to confirm and it sends back to the blockchain for the transaction to actually happen. So you can actually monitor all this in your wallet. It's pending. And once it's pended, finished means it minted. So now that it's minted, what do? You go back here. We just do a refresh. Maybe it takes a bit more time. You can also track the transaction. Okay, it's not showing yet, but you can actually see what's happening here. You can just click here. You can go to the block explorer. I can see has successfully minted the NFT, the token ID of 23. So let me just do a quick refresh. No worries. Anyways, basically, once you have that NFT, you can just, so this is the user front end. And so there's two front end because I told you there's two stakeholders. One is the admin, one is the user. So this is the user front end. It's powered, the authentication is powered by Web3Auth, which is a Singaporean company that allows you with like just a very simple social login. So you click here, it's greeted with Google login, just sign in, and basically it creates a address and a private key listed here. So this basically helps to streamline very easily, like people who aren't familiar with Adapt to basically quickly interact with Adapt and the smart contracts. So this was the NFT I minted yesterday, and here's the token ID of 22, and etc. I think the reason why it did not appear because I was testing some other things. So let me just try one more time with a different NFT. So let me just test rate, car, send another transaction because I can. Confirmed. And see what is pending. Once it takes about pretty fast. So Polygon is a layer 2 blockchain network that basically has very, very low fees and makes the transactions really, really fast. Let's do a quick refresh. If it doesn't show, I'll move on. Okay. There is an issue here, but no worries. Basically, once you've done minted the NFT, you can just copy the address here and send the NFT to a user, and the user can just view it. So how does it all work? It's powered by Centamin's platform, and Centamin's platform is this. So first, you're greeted with a page where there's different organizations you can actually manage. So typically in an enterprise, it's huge, right? So there's many different segments within the organizations that they want to modularize and manage. So for example, maybe even NUS can be considered as an organization, and we want to, as an NTU, as another organization, for instance, and you can communicate with one another. So today I'm just going to go through the RTA organization, which is used to power this, this website. So here is the organization, RTA. And once you enter the organization, you're greeted with this dashboard. So here you can see the apps that within the organization. Let's say this is an NFT minting app that you want to deploy in this organization. You create an app accordingly. And maybe you have another one like Johnny mentioned, which is like bond tokenization. You can create another app. So it's a very good modularization for each organization. So going in, you're greeted with another dashboard, which looks like this. So earlier mentioned, what you actually need in the dApp is a network, a node, the smart contracts, IPFS as storage, and integration to, in this case, Hasura. So what is running is basically Polygon mainnet. So in each network, there's nodes running in the network. So you can see in the nodes section in the left side, and it's running. And you can actually go in to view the endpoints. So the endpoints are basically extracted into the front-end codes. So how does front-end codes look like? I think I can briefly show. You can basically extract all those endpoints and input into the environment variables, which then, like I said at the very start, you just need to build your front-end application and have the backend stuff happen on Centamin. You drag and drop all this, or copy and paste all these endpoints and paste in the environment variables. And you can even test all this, the connection to the node right here in Centamin's UI. You can say like, you want to see the latest block number, you send a request, and within a few seconds, it will show. So this is like the latest block. Then there's, of course, the resources logs, deployment logs for you to monitor your node whether it's running properly. So there's also a smart contract set, which Johnny mentioned earlier, which is very useful for those who are very new to blockchain and Web3 development. We have pre-configured smart contract libraries that is tailored to the Open Zeppelin standard from ERC20, ERC721. We have also like state machines, token crowd sales, trading cards, generative art for you to just kick off your project. We also have many other use cases for like supply chains and stuff. But for this case, I've already developed, or rather deployed, a smart contract template set, which is here. So this is how it will look like once you deploy a smart contract template set. So maybe some of you are familiar with this, maybe some of you are not. Regardless, I'll show you. So the main thing you need to look at is contracts and deploy. So everything is really pre-configured by Settlement to make deployment very easy. You can even look at package.json and can see all the pre-configured scripts that have been written by Settlement for you. So you can just run npm run test, npm run smart contract deploy, and everything would run smoothly. So in the contract, I've already written it's already been written, an RTA smart contract. This is the dependencies by OpenZeppelin. And then this is the deploy script that deploys the smart contract. So this is how it looks like. And going back out, zooming back out. So that's a smart contract set. And you can actually do it all, because I forgot to mention how easy it is to actually deploy each thing. If you want to create a network, right? In this case, I talk about Polygon mainnet. If you want to create another network, we provide permission network, public network, and test nets as well. So let's say I want to deploy a Hyperledger Besu permission network. I just click and name it Besu network, name it Besu node. I choose my deployment plan, shared, AWS Singapore because I'm in Singapore, small resource pack because I don't need much, and I just click deploy. So within like 5 seconds, I am already deploying it. And once you deploy a network, you can actually see a node associated to it that's also deploying in the meanwhile. So this will take about a minute or so for you to fully deploy to this platform that you have. And yeah, so moving on, I talked about how we need a network, a node, a smart contract. You also need the IPFS. So we provide both decentralized and centralized storages. Because we're building a dApp, we're just going to use IPFS. So you can look into IPFS, you can see the endpoints as well, which you can extract to the front end. You can see the file manager with all the images that are pinned to the, you can see all the images that are pinned to IPFS. So I think this was the one I previously, yeah. So anyways, so this IPFS, you can see the resources log, deployment logs, as earlier mentioned. There's also a private key, which is very important and much needed for a dApp. You can extract this private key or mnemonic thing into MetaMask, and then voila. You also can see the nodes is associated to. Right now, it's been associated to Polygon mainnet, the deployment logs, as well as the balances associated to the wallet, right? So, okay, time check 8:26. Okay, now I want to showcase to you what's Hasura. So some of you may not be familiar with Hasura. Hasura, like I mentioned earlier, is like a unified GraphQL server that queries and tracks transactions on-chain and off-chain. So this is what Hasura looks like. This is the GraphQL Explorer that you can play around with the queries. This is built on top of a centralized database, in this case, Postgres. So you can create your tables. So actually, so you seen earlier. So I think it might have worked because let me just go into my collection. Okay, there might be an issue earlier. But anyways, I have actually successfully minted, and because the Hasura is closely tracked to the on-chain event, because I have minted, basically it tracks the on-chain event and then literally writes in for you easily into the off-chain centralized database. And the reason why you would want to use this is when you want to expand the utilities that is limited from just GraphQL. So GraphQL only monitors all the events omitted from the smart contracts. But let's say you want to have more details. You want to track whether it has been claimed or not, whether it's been created at this time, updated at this time, exported at this time. So all this information might not be within the events omitted from the smart contracts. And that's why you would want to use Hasura. Okay, so I've said a lot of things, but I'm coming near to the end. So that is exactly what is needed to build a dApp. I went through the protocol, the node, the smart contracts, the Hasura, private key, IPFS, and that's all you need to build a dApp. This took me like less than a week to actually build it. So this is very, 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 very fast, and I really encourage each and every one of you to try Settlement's platform if you haven't. But there's this one cool feature that Settlement has that none of our competitors have, which is Integration Studio. So I said that it was powered by Node-RED, and Node-RED is powered by Node.js. So I have created an organization called NUS, and I have deployed it here, as you can see. And how it looks like is this. So this is basically a backend server running that basically monitors it, and then you can perform transactions to whatever. It's not limiting to smart contracts. So, okay, some of you may be familiar with Remix. I'm just going to touch Remix real quick. Okay, so Remix is basically a browser software for you to interact with smart contracts. So this is the RTA smart contract. I deployed it, and I can just interact with it. I can just click the name, and it shows the name. I click the minter row, it shows the minter row, and stuff like that, and check whether it has the row and say it's true, right? So I can perform all this on Remix, but you can also do this on Integration Studio. So here I have drag and drop different logics to actually help me to interact with smart contracts. Basically, inside here is small bunches of code that you can input, right, to interact with the smart contracts. It helps you to really test out your logics really, really quickly. So you can just click, and then on the right, you can see it happening. So here, I want to see whether it's been granted in the address, and it says true, which is similar to what happened on Remix, right? I think one of the main issues, because this is very new that I've tested, the reason why the demo might not be working is because I was playing around with the minting feature here. But nonetheless, it's fine. So this is very cool because not are you able limiting to just interacting with smart contracts. You can drag and drop different logics, and this is a very important tool for enterprises, because in issue 3, which is here, integration existing systems. Let's say a company uses SAP system or ERP system, right? You can actually drag and drop different connectors. You can install the different connectors into Integration Studio, and then have it, create your own flow to interact with smart contracts, make sure it's smooth, and ensure that it's integrated well into the existing system. So right here, I only have played around with smart contracts, but if you can see on the left, there's many, many, many different connectors that you can utilize. For example, HTTP in, you can check a file inject, you can have audio, you can have different passes, even barcode decoder, barcode generator, stuff like that. Very, very interesting too. Very low code, which is very suitable for enterprises who do not have a strong pool of developers to actually build that. So this is Integration Studio, very cool feature. If you are interested, I think that actually brings me to the end of the demo that I really want to show. So here is a link that you guys can scan. Let me just widen this a bit. So this is a link that you can scan, and it will bring you to a Telegram group chat that I've created yesterday. That you can just leave your email, and then I'll just invite you to this organization. Then you can just play around, understand the code, and build that in like a few weeks or less than a few weeks. Maybe you have a blockchain project you want to do this semester, you can actually use Settlement platform to build it. This is very quick, very easy. and I really encourage. So that's that. Johnny, you want to add something else? Is there anything that I may have missed?
No, I think it was all good. So maybe one thing to add is that so we do have we're looking for interns as well. So if you guys judging by the quality, Settlement has hired Elton from NUS. I think NUS produces quite good quality students, right? So we're going to be opening internships. So we'd be happy and honored if you guys would apply to Settlement as well. So you could either reach out to Settlement or myself directly, or you can even drop us an email to be updated, right? Yeah. So that's just a plot on Settlement's end, but I think thank you guys, thank you NUS Fintech Society for inviting myself, Elton and myself to share some thoughts. And I wish you guys good evening.
And a happy new year.
Yes, and do please enjoy your upcoming Chinese New Year holidays.
And thank you once again for staying so late for this. Okay.
All right. But yeah, I mean, if you guys, so I guess we can hand it back to the host. If you guys want any
questions,
yeah, exactly, questions.
Any questions? Feel free to ask any question. If you all want to sleep already, you all can ask questions tomorrow or through the Telegram chat that I've created.
Sorry, host, I think you are muted. We can't really hear you. Yeah. Technical difficulties.
And they're having technical difficulties. They are not muted though, so not sure. Just gonna give them a while more.
I can't unmute myself. No.
No, we can hear you now. You're back.
Oh, hello.
I know we ended very early because we also understand that everybody is late. Much of anyone else's time.
Yeah, so once again, thank you so much, Elton and Johnny, for coming over for to present to us more about blockchain. And I hope all of you learn a lot from this session. So yeah, and before I leave, I would strongly encourage all of you to scan this QR code that I'll be showing on the screen. Just give us a moment while we present the QR code to complete the feedback form to be eligible for bingo prizes.
Okay, do I stop sharing? Or maybe
I think Elton, you can stop sharing. Probably, yeah, the Fintech Society can share the QR codes anytime they want. But thanks again, guys. Thank you all for your time. Have a great Chinese New Year celebration ahead and take care. Right.